Dear friends, today I would like to talk to you regarding a topic which is very present in social media, and it is very much connected to the economical situation which the world is living at the moment, the economical situation which many families are living at the moment, and it's a fragile topic. So please bear with me as I go through my notes regarding this situation. You see, the world has been going now through a crisis. It's not just a pandemic element. I'm not talking about that. I believe that that is a political element. So that's another topic. But economically, all this pandemic will have a repercussion, and repercussions will be pushing down the financial status of families. What I am calling for it is to be able to understand that we are living in a crisis. Although we are not surrounded by tanks and airplanes bombing, we are in an economical war. We are in a very difficult situation where to get out of it, we have to, first of all, safeguard our basic platforms. What do I mean by that? If we are able to live with less, if we are able to downgrade, we will be able to overcome the crisis that is coming or that is here and that has been actually here for a few years in the US, in Europe, and I don't know how it's going to be about Australia or other countries, but living in Europe, I can clearly see it. And you see, the world has been living on a low budget, or let's say on a satisfaction of needs. Suddenly, after the Industrial Revolution and with the beginning of the 19th century and 18th and 20th century, the economy just went up, 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 rising until people became from agricultural people became city people, city dwellers. This is so evident in all little villages in Europe that have been depopulated. I mean, they lost a lot of the population because the population went to live in the cities, and the cities grew and grew so much, at least in Italy, that in 1960s and 70s there was like what we call the economical boom, the big economical growth where washing machines came in, automobiles available for everybody, and houses were built, buildings and 10th floor buildings in cities. You see, it was a flourishing time, but with a backbite. And now is the backbite. At the moment is we're paying this backbite. So are we really able as people being born after this economical explosion, positive explosion, are we really able to downgrade and to go at the level of our parents or grandparents, to live with basics, to live with what we need and not what we wish? If we're able to do so, we will be able to overcome crisis. If we are not able to do so, we will be swept away by the crisis which is coming. And I believe it's coming even a bigger wave than this one of the coronavirus pandemic element that pushed down the economy. A bigger wave is going to come and will take down many people. And this is actually how politics is done. And I believe that this is the way that a potential so-called new world order would be put in, when people will be so much down on their knees that there will be a need of a government to take over everything and to restructure everything from scratch. And I don't think this would be a good scenario, because if we're complaining now about freedom, later will be worse. So my encouragement it is to downgrade and to be able to build a platform. What I mean by that is, in simple words, cut down expenses, cut down fixed expenses, cut down situations. I mean, if you can, if you can't, for sure, don't listen to what I'm saying, or try to find alternatives, or try to arrive to that point where you will be able to do so. Rents, first of all, rents. Don't buy on credit. Make a garden, okay? Get a piece of land. Land is not that expensive. Get a piece of land, even if it's not exactly where you live, nearby, that you might be able to get some products for yourself in case of a crisis, in case of a difficulty. The ideal would be if you manage actually to sell the house you have in order to buy a little house or a smaller house, or sell the apartment and buy a smaller house with a little portion of land around the house where you can do a little bit of garden. Now, the garden might look like something from the past, like an agricultural era, but it is a vital element for maintaining the survival, actually, of your family in a situation of, let's say, the worst case scenario, famine, of not being able to buy or sell, of not being hooked up on the system. I mean, remember how it was during the war, how it was for people that couldn't have the paper of the political party. They were not given the same recognition of amount of flour, amount of bread, amount of basic elements. But those who had gardens, those who lived an agricultural life, many of them did not feel much the pressure of the war or the political aspect of the war. You see, agriculture is something which has been eradicated away from the Western culture, and it's exactly the element which can sustain you in situations of crisis. Now, if you take away what can sustain you in situations of crisis, then you're left with nothing. So you're kicked out of your house because you can't pay the rent. You're on the street. You have nothing. While if you prioritize the fact of owning a little house, the probability that you will be expropriated out of your house, in the sense of your house will be taken by the government because maybe you didn't pay taxes on property, it is way lower than the fact of being kicked out because you are not paying the rent, because you don't have enough money. So agriculture is something we have to focus. Owning a little house. Don't think too big. Little. First, little. If financially you will be able one day to do better, you will upgrade. Don't start big. Start simple and small. The second element, which is actually coming together, it is the element of contentment. Contentment. Seneca speaks a lot about this topic. We are, as humans, never content. And those who learn to be content with what they have, they are the happiest people in the world. Happiness has not to do with how much you have, but it's how much are you content with what you have. Unhappiness has to do with the craving for what you don't have. Okay? So it's the craving element which takes you slave. Okay, as a matter of fact, one of the, even for the Jewish people that had the 10 commandments, one of the 10 commandments, the 10th one, to be more specific, it says, thou shalt not desire the things of your neighbor, the wife, the property, or even the donkey or the bull, or whatever you want to say. We would say today the car. Don't desire, don't try to run behind something which you can't afford. Don't try to spend all your energies for something which will not make you happy anyways. That happiness will last very short time, and it's just an illusion. So don't run behind illusions. God will give you a blessing. That's what the promise was for the Jewish setting. The universe will give you a blessing at the appropriate time. And here I'm linking to the next point, which is to learn to appreciate the slow pedagogical process of development financially. The slow financial pedagogical process of development. Don't rush. Don't run. If life was about rushing, we would all live very short. Life is long. Life takes time. There are things we have to learn in the process of making money, acquiring things, which are way more important than the fact of owning things or having money. It's the process, the pedagogical part. So don't rush. You see, money are usually made by serving people. That's how it has been. I'm, for example, somebody who knows how to work with wood. You need a house built with wood. I come to help you to create value. And while I help you to create value, I also get a portion of that value creation because I create value for you as well. So it is a circle. I help and I get helped. I help and I get helped. So if service is at the base of it, that's a noble element. But when service is not at the base of it, when actually somebody tries to sell you something by creating the need for that something and then selling you the service, I think this is not morally correct. It is not how it should work. Services should satisfy needs. Okay, first of all, basic needs, and then as you grow, higher level needs, which are secondary, and so on. If a service is based on a true need, this will be appreciated and is a noble element. If a service is not based on a need, but the one who offers you the service somehow has to create the need in you and to create excitement, be aware of those situations. Be aware. The producer, somehow, if he's closer to the consumer, a relationship is formed. So it's better if products come from a producer to a consumer directly. If I know the farmer who has produced those zucchini, I will have a relationship with that person. I can trust that person. Therefore, I eat the zucchini with more joy, with more satisfaction, and I know what is behind. Today, we don't know. In a situation of economy as it is at the moment, we don't know what is behind things. And it has many steps from producer to consumer, and everybody makes money in those stages. This commerce done. In the course of history, merchants have not been the most morally correct people. Therefore, we can assume that merchandising, selling things, has always been an area of life where people that are tricky were into. Or that, I'm not saying that every selling of things it's marked with or tainted with cheating. What I'm saying is that in the course of history, from shorter is the distance from producer to consumer, happier is the relationship. While if goes from one to another, then everybody tries to make money on something which is actually just passing from one side to another of the product. It's not really putting your heart into the production of that element. So if the product is good, the product will sell itself, in this case, as an object. If the product is mediocre, kind of good, or maybe not good at all, will need to be sold by the marketing done by the person who is selling. And this can be morally wrong, in the sense that it can lead to an hyper exposure of that product as ideal for a problem, as ideal for a situation, while it actually maybe is not, while there may be better products. So if your product is good, your product will sell itself. If your product is not good, your product will need to be presented through marketing strategies, which I am not so much supporting, because I think the best way for selling something is if the product is able to sell itself. Do you have a good product? Start simple, start slow. As you acquire a name, as you acquire a reputation, your name will grow. It is a slow and steady process. Don't throw yourself into big advertisement, because if after people find out that your product is not that ideal, that there is a better situation, better solution, and it's not exactly as you advertise it, you will suddenly grow with the advertisements and with the sales, and then you will collapse and you will be never taken up again. You will need to change the name of the product and restart the same kind of cheating technique, which I am not at all in favor, because I believe that morality has to be at the base of economy, at the base of business. Other way, things will not run for the long term. The word by mouth is still, and has always been, the best advertisement that you could do. Now, having said this, what shall we do? It's a difficult period of time in which we are living. Difficult times will come for many families. My suggestion is really downgrade. Learn to downgrade. You don't know what is ahead. You don't know if you will lose your job. You don't know if you will lose your salary, if you will lose the apartment where you're staying, or the house where you're renting. You don't know these things. Be ready. Be prepared. You can always upgrade in the ladder of business, in the ladder of owning things, in the ladder of acquiring assets and properties. But always remember that you are not the things you have. And if the things you have somehow make you to feel safe, remember that you can lose everything. So please focus on being rather than having. And regarding survival, focus also on being able to live with little, to being able to downgrade. Okay? So if circumstances allow, upgrade. If circumstances don't allow, downgrade. Don't try to fake it until you make it. Don't try to push against the odds. Don't try to push situations where you can see it is not the appropriate time. Wait for life to give you opportunities and circumstances. Don't believe people which tell you it's just how hard you push, you will eventually go through. Wait for life. Spiritual people, I would say, wait for God to open the way. Don't push with your strength. Don't do it. You will get burned out. You will push yourself down, which at the end you might have acquired those results in a better situation, in a more relaxed environment of mind. So this is my suggestion, economical suggestion, and I could say a little bit philosophical suggestion with an element of contentment in order to acquire a peace of mind for the time in which we are living. So please be mindful and learn together with your family, with your partner, with your kids, to relate to life, to adapt to the way that circumstances lead. Don't try to push against something which is harder than you, because you might hurt yourself. So it's my counsel for you: focus on agriculture, focus on a little small property which is acquired for you, possibly without debt, and which you don't have to pay rent for. And then, if you manage to find a job, do it. Work that job, grow with money. You can always upgrade your house. But don't try to aim high and to make the step longer than your leg. Don't try to live beyond your means. There are things, I repeat it again, that we have to learn through the process of getting wealthy or getting more stable financially, which are more precious than the amount of money that we might acquire in a lifetime.